Your Excellencies, heads of delegations, the chairperson of our organization is walking in for the closing ceremony. Kindly be seated for this function.
We are now approaching closing, but before we close, I want to give the floor to Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Thank you very much, my dear brother, Excellency Everard Museveni, and also my brother, another of my dear friends, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, and all Your Excellencies. I've been given this opportunity to speak very briefly. I think perhaps because I'm the only head of government outside of Africa, I've been advised, who attended an African university, that is to say, Makerere. So I'm, as my dear friend and brother, the President knows, we go back a very long way. We met, I believe, for the first time in Tanzania around 1972, when he was studying in Dar es Salaam. It's now 51 years, just over 51 years ago, that I first came to Uganda as a doctoral student. Quite enjoyed it then. I've come subsequently. I have a lot of friends here. Uganda is my home. I claim it as such. And Africa is a noise in our blood, an echo in our bones in the Caribbean. And the strengthening of African and Caribbean unity is at the top of the agenda of my government and, of course, the people in the Caribbean and Latin America. In the foundation of the NAM, Kwame Nkrumah said that we look neither east nor west, but we look forward. We look to the future. It is a long time, a long journey, and through the vicissitudes of life and living and production, and all the changing scenes, we have arrived at a new inflection point in the evolution of human history. We are at a point where the complexities and challenges and global turmoil, they are of such a nature that the old order can no longer hold, yet the new is yet to begin. And the NAM and the G77, the developing world, the South, we have a special role to play. We have been told by those who have dominated the world for quite a while, that the central contradiction in the world today revolved on the question of democracy versus autocracy. Well, from the trenches of the Caribbean, that has never been the central contradiction, and it is not today. The central contradiction is about who gets what, when, where, and how, who owns and controls the resources, and who determines the distribution of those resources. That is how it has been, and that is how it is today. And the restless South, justifiably, are demanding a better share of what the world has to offer. The poor, the marginalized, the disadvantaged. We are in quest for sustainable development, for peace. We want to see the climate change issues resolved. We want a better environment, a better future for our children and grandchildren. It is more difficult now for those who have been wedded to imperialism and hegemony to co-opt or to contain or to control those whom they consider the restless ones in the South. But there's a time and season for everything. And what we have to do, and we know it and we heard it in all the speeches, we have to work together in solidarity with one another and not allow ourselves to be divided as hitherto. And it is this solidarity around specific objectives which will bring about the upliftment of ourselves and all humanity. Peace, security, sustainable development, a good environment, and prosperity for all, not just a handful in a few privileged countries. We have under consideration issues old and new, some continuing. Cuba is here, heroic Cuba. Cubans gave their lives in the struggle for the defense of the independence of Angola. And at the Battle of Cueto Valley, when they defeated the racist South Africans in conjunction with the forces of the MPLA, and in the process assisted in opening the cell doors of Nelson Mandela. Yet Cuba, with all its sacrifices, are still today bombarded by unilateral coercive measures. It is necessary and desirable that this NAM restates its solidarity with Cuba and call for the end to the criminal embargo of this magnificent land of our Caribbean. We have been making strides. Recently, by our own efforts in the community of states of Latin America and the Caribbean, we have set a framework together through the Argyle Declaration in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a framework for peace between Guyana and Venezuela, and not to have open conflict. This is what we have to do in the NAM, this is what we have to do in the G77. Right before our very eyes, a terrible genocide is unfolding before us. The first genocide, the first televised genocide in human history. And yet, complicit nations in the West, in North America, in Europe, are arming and financing the forces in the Israeli government which are committing this horrendous act of barbarism. Surely, elemental humanity must demand that there be a ceasefire, and this should stop. You know, I was having a conversation with a woman who is not political. She was watching Al Jazeera and watching the slaughter of children. 10,000 in 100 days. And she said to me in an act of a cry of hopelessness, helplessness really, can't the world do something about this? And she burst in tears. Have we reached such a stage in our human condition that collectively we cannot be the conscience of the world and bring an end to this savagery against the Palestinian people? We are at an inflection point. History and contemporary circumstances have put the matter to us for a better world. I thank President Museveni for hosting this particular meeting and following with the South Summit tomorrow, the G77, for his extraordinary leadership in Africa. And I thank you for having us. I thank His Excellency, the Secretary General, for his boldness and outspokenness on the issues which concern humanity. Let us in the South join hands and hearts with progressive people across the world for a better life, a better world. Surely things can be brighter. Let's get on with it. Thank you.